Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Cieslinski, aka the Running Wine Mom. Today, we're diving deep into the world of manifestation, self-love, and healing with the incredible Alesha McNeil. Alesha is not just a manifestation coach, she's a beacon of light for those navigating their journey of inner healing and transformation. From overcoming her own battle to guiding others towards a life of abundance and joy and freedom, Alesha's story is both inspiring and transformational. Join us as we explore the power of unlocking ourselves from within, cultivating trust in our intuition, and quantum leaping into our highest timeline. Along the way, we'll uncover the key ingredients to successful manifestation, delve into the healing power of breathwork, and discover how embracing our imperfections can lead to profound self-love and acceptance. So without further ado, let's welcome Alesha. Welcome, Alesha.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, and I didn't note it in the intro, but as I was just saying, I listened to Alesha's Quantum Leaping Manifestations pretty much every night before bed since the beginning of January. So I'm so excited to meet you in person.
Yay, I'm excited that you've been doing them. I'm curious, have you manifested anything from this?
Yes, so there have been so many interesting things that have come from it, and some which I have had at the tip of my fingers and like kind of it hasn't worked out, but the fact that it came into the biggest thing, which I'm so sad that it didn't pan out, but I had been manifesting that a company like sponsor me basically for a content creation trip and pay for everything. I'm like, this would never happen, but this is something that I want to like quantum leap. And literally out of nowhere, someone from the Savannah, Georgia marathon emailed me and was saying that they were doing a partnership. Like I had never talked to any of them. They said they were doing a partnership. They wanted me to run the marathon and I would have to commit to coming and they would fly me down and pay for everything there. And I'm like, whoa, this like is insane. And then unfortunately, because it's the first year of it, they had to like adjust things and that just didn't I didn't sign any contract for it because of that. But the fact that it was like, there was one of the biggest things that has happened. I'm trying to think of
So
other, I know
cool.
there's been so many other, yeah, there's been so many other like random little things. But the one thing that you've really taught is being so specific about what you want. And I think that like the first time I listened to it, when you were like, take a second to think about what you really want. And I had all these thoughts going in my mind because I'm like, I want to go in this direction of, for example, with the podcast and with my life coaching and with just like create content creation. But then when I actually sat down to think about it, I was like, I don't have actual specifics. I just want these things. And so that is really cool to help me to get down to what I actually want. So I
Amazing.
appreciate
I'm
that.
so glad.
So we're going to get way into that just to cover a few things of business. To start each episode, we always have our wine, and win of the week. This is where we share our favorite bottle of wine, vent about something that has been bothering us, and celebrate our recent victory. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So Alesha, what is your WINE or drink of the week?
I love wine. I love the taste of it, but since January, I've had two cocktails, and both times
Okay.
I consume alcohol, my body is like, no. So I haven't had any wine this whole year, which is wild.
That's
So I'd
great.
say my drink of the week would be sparkling water with lime. I love it. I'm
Ooh.
obsessed with it. Here in Bali, it's really hot, and whenever I have that, it feels like I'm drinking like a delicious cocktail, honestly. It's so
Yeah.
yummy with the lime.
Well, that's a great alternative. And being in Bali, that's way better than any wine that I've probably ever had. So what is your WHINE of the week?
So my wine of the week, I'd say is definitely a knee injury. I was surfing last week, and exactly a week ago, actually, I hopped off the board wrong and hurt my knee.
Oh
And
no.
I've been whining a lot about it within myself and out to people that I love. It's been tough
Oh,
because I'm very
I hope it's
active, and it's kept me very still.
oh, I hope it's a quick fix for you. What is your win of the week?
Well, I'd say my win of the week is how I've really allowed myself to move through the emotions of my injury. Because in the beginning, I was just crying and crying, thinking I would be
Oh.
out for months because knee injuries are so intense. And
Hmm.
I released a lot of emotions. I did some healing meditations, and I found out that it'll just take 3 to 4 weeks to heal. And
Oh,
I've
good.
just really, yeah, I'm excited about that. That's a win. And it's
That's awesome.
really invited me to be still and be more in my inner world and just be at home more because I'm always on the go here. I feel like the universe has been guiding me to just be a little bit more at home, which I resisted at first, but now I've surrendered to it and I'm allowing it. So I feel like that's a big win for me.
That's great. And I know I always hate when the universe makes you stay still, but you do need it for reflection and recovery really in life. It's so important. So
Yes.
I always like to ask my guests, what is one struggle you've overcome leading to where you are now? And what is one thing you are most proud of in your life?
One struggle that I'm overcoming and one thing that I'm most proud of. Well, I'd say aside from the knee injury that I'm overcoming, the other thing I'd say that's really present for me is I had someone that I was dating recently that I really liked, and we had a beautiful connection. And he actually ended up telling me that my success makes him so jealous that it repels him from me.
Oh my
And that was
gosh.
really tough. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
tough because I've always had coaches and mentors tell me your light will push people away that you love. And I've
Hmm.
never experienced it in that direct way. So that's
Hmm.
been something I've been overcoming and really allowing myself to step into that light, even if this is a potential outcome. Mm, you know, I'm really proud that I've devoted to thriving. And I've really done a lot of healing work so that I'm not living in stress and overwhelm and
Hmm.
scarcity. And now I can, hopefully, I intend to go the rest of my life just more thriving. Of course, I'll go through
Hmm.
challenges like the ones I've already shared, but I feel really proud of the life I've created today and what the life I'm living.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited. So the Running Wine Mom, we do start off with fitness. I'm just going to ask you one quick question because we have so much to get into today. But what is your favorite way to stay active? I know you said you're very active. What's your favorite way?
Gosh, I mean, right now it's surfing. It's so much fun. I'm obsessed.
That's awesome. All right, so let's get into you. So, can you first of all share a bit about your personal journey to becoming a manifestation coach, healer, and particularly in light of the struggles that you had? You had stress, social anxiety, disordered eating, and now you are in this whole other place that many people would love to be in. So, can you share about that?
Yeah, I had a really intense eating disorder for 5 to 6 years. And,
Hmm.
as that was my spiritual awakening, that was
Hmm.
like a symptom. And I find that for a lot of people, it's these rock bottom moments or these addictions or these habits that they're really not proud of that actually stem. For me, it all stemmed from this severe anxiety, this depression, this lack of living a life that I love, and this inability to feel, not inability, that's not the right word, this resistance to feeling my emotions. I had never learned how to be in my body and that it's safe to feel feelings. So anytime I would feel really overwhelmed with anxiety or fear or loneliness, I would turn to food or I would turn to my toxic ex or I would numb out on TV and scrolling on my phone. And it was all of these different avenues.
Hmm.
And I just kind of hit this rock bottom moment where it was the day before my birthday, and I started bawling my eyes out on my bed because I flashed back to the prior year on my birthday where I promised myself this year will be different. And it
Hmm.
was not only exactly the same, it was worse that entire year. And I felt so much shame and regret and anger and sadness. And I feel like that was this rock bottom moment because I remember I pulled out my phone and I started to distract myself on social media. And I saw this fitness influencer make a post, and I can't remember who she was. I wish I could, but she wrote a paragraph about self-love and how she never found the happiness she was looking for until she developed self-love. And in that moment, I felt tingles of energy in my body and just this clicking within me that was like, okay, there's something in me knew there was truth to that, because I had been looking outside of myself for so long. I thought once I had the perfect body, I would be
Mm-hmm.
super happy. But the years went by, my body was changing, yet I was just more depressed and more
Mm-hmm.
unhappy. And that was like the moment of my spiritual awakening. And then I just feel like the universe kind of left these breadcrumbs, and I was sent to books and teachers and healers and guides. And it all led me to learning how to feel my emotions, learning how to meet my own needs, learning how to tell, okay, I'm really lonely right now. I don't need to numb out.
Mm-hmm.
I can turn to creating beautiful connections in my life. I can turn to my connection with something greater, which I didn't have at that
Mm-hmm.
time. So that kind of is a quick summary of my spiritual awakening.
And people really they don't take self-love, I feel like, into thinking that, and just like you said, they think all these other things are going to make them happy. And one of the I also am a high school health and phys ed teacher, so one of the things I do with my students is I have them write down the top 10 things that you love the most in your life. And they write, some are like, I can only think of seven, some, and then I ask them, the first thing I ask them is, how many people in the room wrote yourself? And pretty much nobody does that. And I'm like, that should be your first one. It's not selfish to love yourself, so, and I find that in motherhood now, it's like, moms have all this guilt of, they have to do all this other stuff for other people and they're not doing for themselves. And I've made it like such a mission for me to be like, if there's no me, there's no anything else. And, I think the self-love part is such a big thing that everybody needs to just, because you have to consistently work on it. It's not just gonna, click. So I love that, that's your kind of avenue to success as well.
Yeah, and I love that you're doing that with kids because,
Yeah.
gosh, I mean, we need that so much. If we can teach kids how to love who they are from the
Mhm.
inside out, oh my gosh, it would solve so many issues later in life.
Yeah, they're not going to therapy later in life for the things that, they didn't learn when they were in their teens. So I'm hoping to change that.
Mhm.
So your approach emphasizes, like we just said, unlocking from the inside out. So you have found that in yourself. But how do you guide other people in the process? Maybe especially a lot of people feeling overwhelmed or maybe disconnected from themselves. How do you help others to find that in themselves?
Yeah, so I mostly work with groups. I sometimes work with
Hmm.
one-on-one clients, and I kind of have developed this roadmap to helping people connect with themselves. Basically, what I like to do is I like to teach tools. I like to teach people how to have tools in a tool belt that they can use whenever they feel anxious or sad or lonely or upset. And I do a lot of embodiment practices. So you'll see if you look at anything that I teach that someone pays to join, it will probably have the word embodiment in it. Embody means to get into your body. And a lot of times people are like, what do you mean, Alesha? What do you mean get into your body? What I mean is 98 or 99% of people are running around with just thinking about
Hmm.
everything. They're in their heads. Getting into your body is softening. It's feeling your heart from the inside. It's feeling your belly from the inside. It's allowing yourself to relax and really feel what's alive inside of your body. So I teach people how to do that, how to get into their body and feel what's present for them. And then I teach them tools like breath work or yoga nidra or um, grounding their energy, creating energetic boundaries, clearing energies that's not theirs, and really feeling, okay, this is what it feels like to be in my body. This is what my energy feels like. And it's this training process. Then we can begin to learn, okay, this is, let's say, you're thinking about someone, and that then you start to feel this like weird energy in your body. Okay, well, maybe this is your intuition telling you they're not good for you, or you're
Mm-hmm.
actually pulling their energy into your body. So it's learning how to feel what's right for you and what's wrong for you, connecting to your intuition and feeling. I have a lot of people who are empathetic, like
Mm-hmm.
empaths, who come who are highly sensitive and feel
Mm-hmm.
everyone's emotions, and we can actually train that as a superpower, and we can learn how to feel, okay, this is my energy, then this negative or nasty or low vibe energy is their energy, and I don't need to fear it. I can create this energetic boundary and keep it out of me and have this deep loving compassion for this person. So there's a lot of benefits from this work, but I'd say that's the main thing I help people with, is really getting into their body and learning to cleanse and clear stuck energies and emotions, and learning how to develop these energetic gifts that help them stay in a higher frequency for a longer
Mm-hmm.
period of time.
Yeah, and that's what, I was going to get into in the next, bunch of questions is the manifestation and quantum leaping and getting into your higher self. And I think I read The Secret when I was like 21, maybe a long time. That was my first introduction to manifestation. I had no idea anything about it. And I just have been obsessed with manifesting ever since. One of the things that I manifested was a Peloton bike was something, we got, basically my son's college tuition is like a big thing. He's only 2, but we're in a program right now that will essentially for the future pay for his college tuition for him, which is like, big things. But I feel as though a lot of people roll their eyes when I say like, oh, I manifest it, I manifest, I do this and that. So how would you explain to someone maybe who is maybe to someone what is manifestation, if people who are listening aren't on board with it? How could you get them to open up their heart and mind to it?
Mm, that's a good question. Because I feel like, the people who normally hear my work, they're like, I'm so excited to learn about manifestation, but I know there's
Hmm.
skeptics out there who see it and they're like,
Yeah.
huh. So, you know, I get it. I get the eye roll. I totally understand it. There is a point in my life where I'd be like, you are fucking Looney Tunes thinking you
Yep.
can But here's the thing. Manifestation, we are actually all already manifesting. It's automatic. Our subconscious mind has a set of beliefs and standards of what we're available for, what we deserve. And we can look at our life and see that even if we don't like it, we're available for it and we believe it's what we deserve. We believe it's what's possible. So I look at my
Hmm.
dad, okay? My dad, love him to death. He's amazing. He has always wanted a high paying job, and he's always thought, I need to be secure. I need to work for the government. I need to get all the good benefits that the government gives.
Hmm.
And when I retire, that's when I'll have this freedom. So every time I'm
Hmm.
home visiting him, he's like, he makes enough to have some fun, but not enough to feel super, super, super free. But
Hmm.
he keeps talking about, but retirement's coming up just a few years away, a few years away. And I say, Dad, I have some really great ideas. If you want to bring in more cash flow, why don't you take our stepmom's house that they've been trying to sell, rent it
Hmm.
out, like Airbnb it out. You could get this kind of cash flow coming in. Like, I have all of these expanded, limitless ideas for him.
Hmm.
He's like, no, 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 no. This is the way, right? So his belief system of what's possible and what is right for him is creating that reality.
Hmm.
And then we have some people who have a belief that, okay, yeah, I want that retirement freedom, but I want it by age 30. So they begin to expand their belief system of what's possible. And as they begin to imagine, I'm going to have this by age 30, their energy shifts. And I met this girl here in Bali a couple weeks ago, and She's well, she's a whole vibe. She is celebrating her retirement,
Oh my
and
God.
she's right around the age 30. And she always had that vision in her 20s. And that vision, feeling the feelings of that happening, guided her to start this company where she would buy old vans, rebuild them, and then sell them. And she built a whole company. Then she started real estate. So this is just like when you begin, if you're skeptical of manifestation and you begin to look at different people, you can see how their beliefs have shaped their life. And then you can
Yeah.
see it in your own life. Begin to look at relationships. Let's say there's one relationship in your life that you either have now or you've had in the past that was really toxic. I dated someone for 3 years and it was super toxic. He cheated on me. I mean, probably with over 50 women within those three
Oh
years.
my
I caught
gosh.
him with at least 20.
Oh
And
my God.
I know, I know. I was like dating a man addicted to sex, probably.
Yeah, probably.
And here's the thing though, me today, if I even got a hint of that, I would be like, nope,
Hmm.
not in my life.
Hmm.
But back then, I thought that's what I was worth. I that was my
Hmm.
standard. So of course I manifested it. So to explain manifestation, if there's something in your life that you want to create, whether it's around love, wealth, health, happiness, what you want to know is everything's made up of energy. That's how you can feel my passion through
Hmm.
the podcast, right? You can feel my
Yes.
energy. And if everything's made up of energy, then when we shift our energy from inside of us, which is made up of our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and we begin to imagine a more dreamy life, and we begin to feel the feelings of it already being here before it's here, then we'll begin to think thoughts about it. Then we'll begin to take action towards it. And very quickly, our lives will begin to change. So, that is like kind of the most basic way that I can describe manifestation to someone that is new to it and maybe a little bit skeptical. It's really magical. And I'd say, if you are having trouble believing that it's real, I'd say just look up some stories. And the more
Hmm.
stories you read, the more you're going to be like, holy shit, this is crazy. If it works for them, it will work for me.
Yeah, you explained it so well with everything. And it's funny because you said, your dad with the government job, that's kind of the mental state that I was with being a teacher. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to make more sales. I'm not going to be able, I have a 10 or whatever, 20-step salary guide that I know how much I'm going to make. I can't do anything else. And then my ideas started coming, of doing all these different things. And it's the consistency of just like you kind of said, if this is your vision, eventually something will come of it. And literally with the podcast, last January, I was driving home from work and I was like, something in my mind said you should start a podcast. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that, but let me listen to it and try it. And here I am, almost a year and a half later, best decision that I've ever made. And it's opened up so much stuff for me manifesting. And I think people just don't listen to themselves enough is what I think people kind of get confused and they get in that um, set mindset versus growth mindset for what's so important.
People, I believe everyone has dreams and they feel their heart's desires. But a lot
Hmm.
of people let the fear of what if it doesn't
Hmm.
work? What if it doesn't happen the way I want it to happen? And all of that stop them. But I
Hmm.
really
I totally
encourage
agree.
anyone, yeah, I really encourage anyone listening, if you feel called to something and it doesn't go away and you just keep feeling it year after year, do it. I mean, that
Yeah.
thing that you're being guided to, it's just step one. It's going to
Hmm.
open the door to your most miraculous life if you start to follow
Yeah.
that inner voice that's guiding you.
And truly, that's what's happened to me. It's wild. So what do you think? what would you say are maybe two key ingredients necessary for successful manifestation? Because I've also heard a lot of people like, well, I did it, it doesn't work. And what would you say maybe for people who are just starting off? What are two important things that they should keep in mind when they are manifesting?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's so many, but I'd say if you're just starting off, have a guide. Find
Hmm.
someone that you really resonate with. Read their books or listen to their content or hire them as a coach if they do that. Um, have someone guiding you and try not to get lost in all of the different noise out there. Like follow one thing and practice it. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, and the second thing I would say, oh my gosh, there's literally so many, but I would say, my top manifestation practice, or one of the habits that I just come back to all day long is feeling gratitude in my heart. Because here's
Hmm.
the thing, most human beings in this day and age spend 70% of their life in chronic stress. And
Wow.
that's not including the hours they're sleeping. So, what's really cool is we have the power to shift out of chronic stress, fear, anxiety, overwhelm, and into joy and peace and love and relief by bringing our awareness into our heart and beginning to feel feelings of gratitude for what we already have.
Hmm.
And this is a superpower that if you practice it for a few weeks, you can get into that vibration all damn day. And what it will require you to break your addiction to feeling chronic stress, because you're going to notice that as you start feeling grateful, you start feeling peace, relief. It's like,
It's like, whoa.
whoa, this feels really good. And then 10 minutes
Yeah.
later, go back to a habit of like thinking stressful thoughts or scrolling on your phone to get a little bit
Hmm.
of that anxiety back. And
Hmm.
you want to keep coming back to it, breaking that addiction. And you're going to notice that even if you don't do anything else with manifestation, if you just practice feeling grateful for what you already have, you have shifted into an energy of abundance and your life will change. I am 1,000% certain. You're going to start seeing people through the eyes of love, meaning people who annoyed you, they're no longer going to annoy you as much. People
Hmm.
who triggered you, you're going to like love them and see the beauty in them. And your frequency has shifted. And the moment you shift your frequency, the universe shifts around you. So you're going to start noticing opportunities, synchronicities, all from shifting into feeling gratitude. And if you want to take that a step further, when you're genuinely feeling like I am grateful for this cup of coffee. There was a I tell this story very often, but I won't tell the whole story right now, but there was a point in my life where I had nothing, negative in the bank account. I had like a bad breakup. I felt like I had no friends because I was in such lack that I couldn't see
Hmm.
them. I moved home with my parents, and the only thing I could feel grateful for was a cup of coffee because I was like,
Oh.
no matter what happens, I can have a cup of coffee. And I said, today, instead of trying to figure out how I'm going to change my life, what if I were to just give this gratitude thing a try and not do anything but find things to be grateful for? So although it felt like I had nothing, I began to look and see, okay, I have a
Hmm.
roof over my head, thumbs up there. I have food on my plate because my dad is cooking me dinner. And I had to move through that shame and just be like grateful for it. And then I
Hmm.
got my cup of coffee and I went and sat by the window and I'd smell it and I would practice like feeling almost like I took an elevator from my head down into my heart and I'm feeling
Oh.
thankful. Like I'm like, thank you, God, universe, for this coffee. And I would sip it and I'm like, tastes so good. And within minutes, I could feel the energy shift in my body because instead of feeling angry and bitter and resentful and mad at myself, I started to feel joy and
Mm-hmm.
ease and relief. And from that place, so many things manifested very quickly. So, yeah, that's the second thing, is really developing that feeling of gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude is so important, and it is just the smallest things, like you said, the cup of coffee. And I'm again, people underestimate it. It's just like, um, but there's something everybody can be grateful for something in their day that, I doubt that there's everything can't be terrible. But some people think
Really.
that
And,
it is.
we live in a world where society wants us to feel lack. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, how
Mm-hmm.
are all these billion, trillion dollar industries going to keep, like, let's look at the clothing industry. It's like, how
Mm-hmm.
are they going to keep growing their business if we don't feel like we need the next thing? Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
closet full of clothes. I can't even fit it all, fit everything in my
Yeah.
maybe walk-in closet, but I need that new fall outfit, right? I need that thing and that thing and that thing. That we have abundance, but we feel lack. It's an
Correct.
illusion created in the mind. And I'm living in Bali now. It's a third world country, and the locals make maybe like $5 a day. I don't know.
Wow.
And yeah, and I look at these farmers who are growing watermelons outside of this beautiful villa that I'm so honored to live in. And they live in these huts. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
literally a tent that they live in the entire season that they're growing watermelons. And they are
Wow.
happy. These are
The
the most
happy.
happy people I have
Yeah.
met, because their
Mm-hmm.
happiness comes from within, not from needing to manifest this entire list of things that we think will make us happy, because there
Mm-hmm.
are so many millionaires and billionaires that commit
Who are
suicide.
unhappy.
They get it all and they realize this means actually nothing after
Right.
celebrating it for it.
So true. And I took a course, it was called The Science of Well-Being, and it put such a perspective into my mind, specifically about what you're saying. Like, of course, there's like a salary cap of like what to live, basically, wherever you are. Maybe it's $5 a day, maybe it's more than that, depending on where you are in the world. But like, you can be just as happy. Just sitting right here, we are just as happy as someone who is flying on a private jet. And you think that you're going to have this different happiness, but there's only like a certain level of like, not the amount of you can have as much happiness as you want, but it's not necessarily going to be, because once you get on the private jet, then you're like, well, now I want to own a private jet. I already rode on a private jet. Now I want to own this jet. And now that you own the jet, now you want to fly, to more. And so it just kind of is always building up. And so, to, like you kind of said, just recognize that you can be happy and grateful for the littlest things. And once you start to realize and focus on that, everything else, it makes so much more sense.
Yeah, and you know what's really
Yeah.
cool? Yeah, is that, like, wherever you go, there you are, right? So the version of you, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with life, let's say the private jet landed right now. That
Hmm.
exact same relationship with you and relationship with life you have would be with you on the private jet. So how you see
Right.
life, the lack that you feel, the need to make things better. So what's really cool is when you don't just recognize that you can feel grateful for a lot of things you have, but you do it, you're going to find
Hmm.
not only are you happier, and maybe some things you thought would make you happy kind of fall off your dream list, but you actually become a million times more magnetic to making it happen, because you're no longer in lack, feeling like, I really
Hmm.
want that thing to make me happy. You're a vibrational match. You're like, I am grateful. I feel abundance. So let's just invite in more. And that's when it
Yes.
begins to happen.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I wouldn't be happy on a private jet, but um, so how about can you, I know you talked about that, and breath work is an important part of some of the things that you do and working with your clients. How do you think breath work contributes to manifestation journey and maybe enhances the process of attracting desired outcomes? Because many people, again, do not focus on breath. I don't focus on
Mm.
it as much as I should, but it's something that everybody needs to work on.
Gosh, breath work has changed my life. The first time I did breath work, it was a 15-minute audio that I downloaded. I laid down, I did it, and I sat up and I felt a feeling that I was searching for in all of these personal development books, in trying to meditate, but feeling like I couldn't turn my mind off. The breath is an active meditation. So I practice and teach something called the 3-part breath, where we're taking in more oxygen than what we're releasing. And this can be for anywhere from 5 minutes to around 25 minutes. Breath and spirit mean the same thing in many languages. So what we're doing is we're inviting in our spirit or our soul to fill our body. But beyond that, we're opening up our energy centers. The breath it's almost like, so we have all of these energy centers along our central channel, which is like from the top of our head to the base of our spine, and even around our body as well. But I almost see the breath work as like a waterfall running down our body and up our body, and it's cleansing and clearing all of these stuck emotions that can weigh us down and hold us back. So let's say you're listening and you're like, it's someone that's listening, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to practice this gratitude thing. And and you go get your coffee and you're like, all right, I'm going to feel grateful for this coffee. And you're like, motherfucker, like, excuse my language. Can you curse on here?
It's okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
you can curse. Yeah. I just have to click the
Like,
explicit button
I
when I edit.
am,
Yeah.
you think like, I'm so pissed and frustrated that I can't feel grateful the way Alesha was telling me to feel grateful. Like, what the hell is happening? And what may be happening there, what's probably happening, is you have a well of emotions that are stuck in you from your entire life. Anger, frustration, what happened to you with your toxic ex, what happened with your best friend growing up, what happened to you from your parents as a child. Maybe you've lost your parents or your loved ones, and there's like trauma, anger, sadness, all of these emotions in the body
Hmm.
that it's like weighing you down, and it's keeping you in this low frequency. And how people describe this, which I really love, I believe Abraham Hicks is the one who kind of coined this, is for us to feel high vibration or joy. It's actually natural. It's natural. It's our natural state. But things happen to us throughout life that push us down. And how this can kind of be represented as an image is imagining a buoy that's like bobbing in water, right? They float in the ocean,
Hmm.
and that's our natural state. It's to be at the top, it's to feel joy, to feel free, to be floating and flowing through life. But when we experience trauma and sadness and pain, and we allow it to stay stuck in our body because we weren't conscious enough to release it from our body and have the tools to release it, it's like all of those emotions and trauma is weighing the buoy down. It's
Hmm.
pushing it under the water. And you're like, I'm trying to get to the top. How do I get to the top? And what we do is we allow ourselves to let go of the trauma, let go of the emotion, let go of the sadness. And breath work is a tool for that. It's a tool to release the emotions and trauma and to open our hearts to life, to receiving miracles, to love and joy and gratitude and abundance. So it's really powerful. And inside of my membership, we have so many people that just, we have a group chat and people are just talking all the time about how grateful they are for breath work, and it's like blows their
Yeah.
mind. It's really cool, men and women, which I just think is the coolest.
Yeah. And again, something we should be taught at a very early age, and nobody really teaches about it when it's basically, it's a survival method for us, and to learn how to control it. It's just like a muscle. It's so important for people to learn.
Yeah.
So manifestation is in what the way that I look at it, I don't know if it's the way that is like, the base. And then what I've learned about, in the last 6 months is the quantum leaping. I had no idea about quantum leaping until about 6 months ago. I'm like, wait, what is this? And I think it was definitely on TikTok that I came up on it. And I had, seen your TikTok, and then I was started following you on Instagram, and you taught me so much about the quantum leaping. But what does quantum leaping mean for, again, many people who may not know? It's quantum leaping into our highest timeline, but what is it, and how does it relate to manifestation?
Yeah, I love this topic so much. You can probably hear it in my voice. It's
Yes.
funny, I'm kind of giggling because this podcast has transitioned from like really intro level to like really out there, and I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
I know. I'm
So
like, listen, if you're here, you're going to learn about it all. So you can always come back to it. We can learn about the manifestation, then listen to the quantum leaping.
yeah, it's so good. Yeah, so what quantum physics has shown us, there's been a lot of research in this, is that all time and space actually exists in the now moment when we're connected to the what we can call the quantum field. Okay, and that there are infinite realities that exist in the field. So there's a reality that exists where we have the lives we have today. There's a reality that exists where we have way less than what we have today. And there's a reality that exists where we are maybe millionaires, billionaires, infinite, right? And
Mhm.
what's really cool is there's a realities where we have everything we love about our lives and then all of our problems solved. So knowing this is really important when you want to quantum leap, because what you can do is you can connect with the quantum fields and choose, okay, if all possible realities exist now, and when I'm connected to the quantum field, things move quicker than the speed of light, then I can, as I shift my frequency, I will shift the reality that I'm experiencing instantly. And a lot of people will, hear this and they'll go and do a meditation and they'll open their eyes and they'll be like, wait, I don't have $1 million in my bank account. It didn't work. It's not real.
Yeah.
Actually, some people are so good at shifting their frequency that they can manifest things out of thin air, like literally. This is
Mhm.
like really out there, I know, but like they can literally like Harry Potter shit, like
I believe it.
actually.
I believe it.
Yeah, and I've experienced quantum leaps in my life, and my clients have as well, where things either manifest instantly or very, very, very quickly. So,
Hmm.
what's cool about working with energy is we're not going out there and creating reality by working harder. The hard
Hmm.
work, meaning the effort, actually comes from slowing down and dwelling in the energy and frequency of it already being here. And then what
Hmm.
begins to happen is instead of chasing reality, the reality comes to find us. Our desires come to find us. We create a vibrational match between what we want and who we are. And then all of the opportunities and synchronicities and manifestations begin to happen. And people from the outside looking in will say, huh, it doesn't look like you've done anything. But then you
Hmm.
say, actually, I have. I've shifted my energy and frequency. And because of that, my life has shifted around me. Yes, quantum leaping it's really just accelerated manifestation. And it requires you to go beyond the mind and really believe that things can happen quicker than what most of society believes.
Yeah. And it really, and it, like I said, I've loved manifesting forever, and the quantum leaping, I've just, been, I delved into like all of it, and it's been so cool to see. And it is so true. That people always say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky. Oh, you always like," for example, if you're at like a fundraiser, "Oh, you always win something," or "Oh, you always get this, or you get upgraded for this." And I'm like, I'm working on it all the time. My manifesting and then kind of learning quantum leaping is just, a step up. But do you have maybe a favorite practical exercise or strategy for quantum leaping besides your specific manifestation, which I will definitely share with everybody?
Yeah. Well, I would love to add, I think Joe Dispenza, he's a really great resource for learning
Hmm.
the science because he's partnered with universities in the United States, and they are studying all of this, mostly around health. And he's really cool and focusing in the area of health because people will come to his week-long retreats. They'll come in blind, deaf, tumors in their brain. And by the end, they're seeing, they're hearing, the tumors have been gone. Like, this is really great evidence for our minds to wrap around the fact that things can happen really fast. And do I have any practices? No. So, I mean, I teach what I practice, right? So everything
Hmm.
that's out there that I practice, or everything that I practice, I share. So the
Right.
meditations that Samantha's referring to, that you're referring to, it's a free bundle, a free manifestation meditation bundle where you connect with that future version of yourself and you draw it to you. That's my
Hmm.
practice. I keep it super simple. I like to
Yeah.
do it morning, and then the rest of the day I flow and I let life guide me and I dwell in gratitude and I enjoy my life as much as possible, because I'll say that actually is something I could share is once you shift into the frequency of the life you are choosing, you're going to feel ease, you're going to feel relief, you're going to feel joy. And it's your job from there to live as though it's here. So you'll take any pings of inspired action that come to you. And a lot of your inspired action will actually be to just lean back, enjoy life. That's why I started traveling 4 years ago, is because I wanted to quantum leap into a reality where I made a lot of money, I helped a lot of people, and I was only working between 4 and 6 hours a week. And that was so different from my reality of working most hours Monday
Hmm.
through Friday. So when I started to embody the energy and frequency of it, then I started to think different. I started to be guided to different things. And I was like, what am I going to do with all of this
Yeah.
time? I guess I'm going to start traveling the world and like spending my
Love it.
days adventuring and connecting. So, yeah, that is another
Yeah.
example of what to practice.
I love that. So do you have maybe a success story besides the one that you just said of yourself, or maybe of someone that you worked with about quantum leaping into the life after, implementing the teaching that you shared?
Yeah, well, I feel like the one I just shared was really powerful because it came like, so remember how I shared earlier that I felt like I had nothing, and then
Hmm.
I was grateful for the coffee. So that gratitude practice stimulated everything. Within a day, I wrote down a business idea.
Wow.
Within a week, I created it. Within 2 months, I opened the doors to it. I launched it. I had a nearly $50,000 launch. And in the same month, I
Wow.
started traveling the world solo. And this was so much evidence to me that anything can be created.
Hmm.
And it can be created quickly. I really focus
Right.
my energy. With clients, it's super interesting because I didn't start really talking about money manifestation a lot until that happened. This was back
Hmm.
in early 2021.
Okay.
Um, and I find that a lot of people want to learn how to manifest money with me.
Yeah.
And they really just want to make somewhere around like $10,000. They want to have more than enough, $10,000 a
Hmm.
month. So I've helped some clients get there really quickly through the
Wow.
practice shared here. We have this girl, this client, Laura, who found me this past December, and she joined my manifestation masterclass and then the membership. And through that, she started having $5,000 in her $5,000 months in her online coaching business that she just
Yeah.
began. And then she was like, okay, this month I want 10,000, but I want to be working less because she was working so much.
Right.
She was burnt out. So I helped her shift into a leaned back energy. And as she leaned into her fear of shifting into doing less but attracting more, clients just started to flock to her. And then
That's
she
awesome.
surpassed 10K. Yeah, she got all these brand deals. Like, that's one example, but I mean, I have hundreds.
So many. Yeah, that's what I feel as though a lot of people they do have blockages, whether it's in, like you said, money blockages or receiving blockages. Um, you know, it's always around, personal transformations and with the manifestation, do you adjust, like, how would you adjust people who have blockages in those areas? So say if someone's been like, I've been manifesting this $5,000, or I've been quantum leaping and to get to the $10,000. Like, what advice would you give to them?
Oh gosh, I feel like I'd have to speak to them to know what the
Yeah.
block is. But, if in general, if there's
General, yeah.
blocks, yeah, you'd want to probably journal and
Yeah.
write out all of your thoughts and your beliefs around money and your ability to magnetize money. Actually, this is what I would have you do is write down every single belief you have around yourself, around what you're creating, around money, if that's the topic. If it's, love, right? Write beliefs around that. And then read over them, and you'll see some of them, some limiting beliefs will be like really silly to you. You'll laugh it off. And then other ones you're
Yeah.
going to have a lot of emotional charge around. Like, for
Hmm.
example, what was big for me is I'm afraid that the more money I make, people are going to want to take it from me. Like, my loved ones
Hmm.
are going to like start asking me for money. And I felt a lot of emotional charge around that. So then you want to rewrite those beliefs and either completely change them or change your relationship to them.
Hmm.
So for that specific one, I was like, yeah, that's possible. And it's okay. I'm willing to feel it. I'm
Right.
willing to move through it. And actually, I'm manifesting the kind of money where I love to give to my loved
It
ones.
doesn't
So it's all
matter.
good.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah, that was,
that is the way to really clear your blocks.
yeah. And something that I learned was with manifestation with around money. And, I had thought I'd been doing all this work. And then one summer I lived down the shore with my parents, which I was married with kids, and we lived together for 8 weeks down the shore as like a fun, summer, which was a great summer. But I noticed so many comments that they made around money, limiting comments around money, or like, oh,
Mm.
those people are, oh, they have so much money, or we can't do that because of this, and it wasn't intentional. And I mean, that, but it was, I reflected after that summer thinking, that's where a lot of my subconscious beliefs around money come from, in the lacking, even though, everybody's happy and healthy and fine with it. But that, after I recognized that, I was able to kind of work through it a lot and get those subconscious thoughts out of my mind, which I thought was a pretty interesting lesson that I learned way later in life. Because, I lived with my parents until I was like 25, and then you just think, oh, that all goes away, but in fact, it doesn't. So I think that
Yeah,
journaling and,
you can
and
really
listening
see
is,
what you believe by
yeah.
noticing how you speak about it with others.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think our listeners have learned quite a bit from you. I mean, I know they have. And I just loved the energy that you gave today. And I could talk for hours on manifestation and quantum leaping, but we will start to wrap it up. And in wrapping up the conversation today, I guess I would ask, what final message or insight would you like to leave the listeners with as they hopefully begin to embark on their own journey of self-love, healing, and manifestation and quantum leaping?
Yes, thank you. It's been so fun to be here. I could talk about it all day too.
I
One thing I'd like to leave everyone with is I just want you to know that You're magic. You're really, really, really magical, like far beyond what you may realize. I think we all are, all of us. I think one day, sometime in the future, if somehow in this world with all these wars we don't end up like killing ourselves,
I
I
know.
think if we if we live here for a lot longer, we'll be able to regrow limbs. Like I think that's how magical
Hmm.
we are. So I really encourage you to allow yourself to dream and allow yourself to lean into fear. Fear is biological. That's it. It's trying to keep you safe from jumping off a cliff. It's great. Fear is
Hmm.
a protector. Give it thanks. And then put it in a back seat, buckle it in, and take the steering wheel of your life because when something's scary and it's exciting, it will create magic. Scary plus exciting equals magic. So I really encourage you to dream, to be courageous, take a leap of faith, and watch what happens. You're going to really be in your final days of this life and look back and say, I'm so proud of myself for going after it and just living as fully as I can.
Such great advice. Oh my gosh, I love that. And I will definitely take that advice as well. All right, so that is the perfect way to end it. That's going to bring us to the end of another episode of the Running Wine Mom podcast. As we draw the curtains on today's episode, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Alesha for sharing her wisdom, insights, and personal journey with us. Alesha, your words have resonated deeply, reminding us all of the power and magic that lies within each of us to create our own realities and embrace our true selves. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. I hope you found inspiration and guidance in today's conversation. Remember, your journey of self love, healing, and manifestation is unique to you, and you have the strength and resilience to overcome any obstacles that come in your way. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it. You can also follow me on Instagram at the Running Wine Mom _ And Alesha, where can the listeners find you?
They can find me at alesha.soul on Instagram and TikTok. And my website is aleshasoul.com, ALESHASOUL. That's where you can find my membership and courses.
Perfect. And I will link all of that for sure. So thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep working on your highest self. Cheers, and I will be back next Tuesday.